Hey everyone, Andrew back again and welcome to another video, and it's Saturday so I'm back with another slasher review as part of the theHORRORmans Slashback Slasher Challenge series. And this week's theme was Christmas in July, so we're all to review a Christmas themed slasher. And there's been a ton of them released over the years, some pretty common and popular ones, but I kind of wanted to stay away from those and review something a little bit more underrated, I guess, and not talked about as much. So I'm going to be reviewing this one right here, All Through the House. It came out a few years ago and it had been a while since I'd seen this one, so it was fun revisiting it for this week's review. So All Through the House centers around the main character Rachel. She's back in a California neighborhood visiting her grandmother over the Christmas holidays. She ends up getting involved with her neighbour, Mrs. Jarrett. She's basically gone over to her house to help her with Christmas decorations. And then as the story unfolds, you slowly discover that there is quite a connection between these two characters from the past and to do with both of their families. Add a killer Santa dressed in a Santa's outfit on the loose, picking off people in this neighbourhood, and you have yourself this movie. So that's as far as I'll go with the story. There is a lot more to it than that because this is pretty story driven, but I don't really want to give too much away. So now we'll move on to what I thought of this one. So as I said, it had been quite a while since I'd seen it and I could remember enjoying it quite a bit. And upon revisiting it for this review, my opinions still remain the same. While this is nothing amazing, I enjoyed it and I definitely think it is well worth checking out. So first we'll talk a little bit about the location. So as I already mentioned, it's set in a California neighborhood. There's nothing utterly amazing about the location. Pretty standard neighborhood, but you know, it works for the setting within this movie just fine. The other interesting thing that I definitely wanted to mention, I wouldn't really say it's a negative, but there was no snow about, and to me it kind of lost a little bit of the traditional Christmas vibe that I'm used to from American Christmas horror films. Now over here in Australia we have Christmas during the summer, so obviously there's no snow about, so it's nothing that I'm not familiar with. But when it comes to a movie and a Christmas themed horror film, I do definitely like the snowy settings, and this movie didn't have it. But granted, this was filmed in California, and I'm assuming that it doesn't really snow in California. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, so it didn't really have any snow about. But other than that, you know, the Christmas vibe was there. It had a lot of decorations in all the houses and all the yards, and that part looked really, really good. Now we'll move on to my thoughts on the characters. I definitely think the characters were the movie's strongest point. That and the story, but we'll get to that slightly later on. So yeah, I thought the characters, especially for a more low budget type of slasher, the characters, or the main characters at least, were all really, really good. And I've got to give props to the acting from the main characters, especially Rachel. Not your typical female slasher characters whatsoever. They were all really, really strong. They made smart decisions, and I really, really appreciated that a lot. So I was really impressed with the way the characters were portrayed within this movie. Definitely a little different to your traditional female characters when it comes to a slasher. So that was really, really well done. The killer, I liked the killer, really traditional Santa outfit, but I've got to give it to the mask. The mask looked really, really good. And there's a pretty nice reveal with the killer towards the end of the film. I kind of worked it out halfway through as the story was unfolding, but that didn't really take anything away from the reveal at the end. I thought that was really, really good. The kills were pretty good. It lacked variety though, because the killer pretty much used the same weapon through the entire film. But in saying that though, the kills were pretty impressive, especially for a more low budget slasher. There was plenty of them. They were really, really well spaced out from start to finish, so you didn't really have long gaps of nothing happening. There were kills pretty much from start to finish. And they all looked really, really good for the most part. Most of them were on screen. And yeah, there was some good blood and gore within this movie as well. So Now, I definitely want to talk a little bit about the storyline, because along with the characters, I definitely think the story was the movie's strongest point. And normally slashers aren't really known for a in-depth storyline, and I wouldn't really say the storyline was in-depth, but it was definitely interesting. I really liked the fact that they've kind of focused on the Rachel and Mrs. Jarrett's family connections within the film. I'm not really going to give too much away, but yeah, the storyline was really, really good. The other thing that I really loved about this movie, even though it was a modern slasher, or it is a modern slasher, it had that nostalgic feel to it, and you could definitely tell that the director was a big fan of 80s horror films. There are a few horror movies that definitely were paid homage throughout this movie, and Maniac, Sleepaway Camp, and The Burning are the three main ones that really come to mind. And I definitely know that the director took influence from those three slashers throughout this movie. So yeah, I've got to say, while nothing utterly amazing, this is really, really good, and it's definitely worth your time, especially if you like strong female characters and a storyline with your slashers, and well-paced kills, good-looking kills, and a Christmas setting. I would definitely recommend All Through the House. So if you've seen this one, I'm definitely curious to know your thoughts on it, so let me know in the comments. And if you haven't, I think it is definitely well worth checking out, well worth your time. Anyway, that's it for this week's review. Until next Saturday when I'm back with another one, I hope you've enjoyed this review, and thank you for watching.